Good day and good evening, and welcome back to Dailies Hangout stream with me, Chaiji, but you can just call me Kai. Tonight, as usual, whoops, we work our way through most of the daily roulettes. We'll skip over some of them, and then we'll see. Maybe we'll do the normal raid reclears. I actually did do them earlier this week, but hey, let's see what time it is when we're done with the daily stuff, right? Maybe we'll try something else. We'll have some time to figure it out, I'm sure. The way that it works, for anyone that hasn't joined me for Daily's Hangout stream before, is that I will be here in my garden. In the pinned message from Aradel, you can see exactly the location of where we are. And you can simply come hang out. I will at some point announce that I'll ask if you want to come along with me for a particular roulette. I will go somewhere in my garden while I do that, so that you don't so that I go somewhere where there isn't people, so that I don't walk up next to someone. And then I'll ask you to come to me if you want to come along for the dungeon or for the duty. And I'll pick 3 players, for instance, for a 4-man duty. I'll try my best to grab people that haven't had a go yet. I also write down anyone that I missed, so that, you know, if you come over for the second roulette as well, and someone new got there first, so I would have picked them. I will be like, well, you were also willing to join for the previous one, so you're also in the queue for the second one, and I would grab you first, so that I can try my best to get as many with me along as possible. When we get to trials and normal raids and alliance raids, usually it's actually pretty hard to get 2 completely different parties for the trials and the normal raids. So I usually just, you know, once we made the trials party, we just stick with that one for normal raids, and then for alliance raids we check how many want to go, and then we'll even out so that there's a chance that we land in the same alliance raid, and then whatever happens, about half of the collective group will at least be together if we land in different alliance raids. And then we'll see what we do from there. And that's roughly the plan. We're doing some dailies and we're having some fun. And we're doing dailies with some solid players, which also can be very valuable. Now, with that said, hey Alfie, hey Telema, hey Lana, hey Mizu, hey Aradel, hey Agent Monica, hey Tinley, hey Zaf, hey Gazel, hey Boomet, hey DPS, hey Rost, hey Kaj, hey Saros, hey Dunson, hey Shorakai, hey Danny, hey Tabby, hey Sork, hey Naomi, hey Kat, hey Liv, hey Falsgeek, hey Ivis, and hey Scoobert. Hope you're all doing very well. And hey BL and Cake and Bronto. Hope you're doing well as well. But yeah, that is the plan. And we typically just go down the list and then we hit trials, normal raids, and alliance raids. I will usually skip MSQ roulette, guild test, and of course mentor and frontline. But we'll see if we finish and have a lot of time to spare what we do. But on that note, if you would like to join me for expert roulette, come on over to me. Whoa. Ilana with the back and forth. I actually had trouble seeing who got there first due to the mix-up. How about we do this? I have a lot of names to write down. Wow. You know, that's going to eventually become a problem when there are so many that want to come along one day, maybe, that I can't actually ever possibly bring everyone throughout the day. Hey Tremere, Sylvia, and Kiwi. Hope you're doing well. And have fun with work. Bronson says doing clips today. I was gonna post one because I was putting my hair out on my samurai damage, but then I did beat the fight and saw that I have way more than I need and just need to clear the fight first. No, we don't usually do clips on Dailies Hangout stream. And also, if you did post a clip, it would have been next time, as you know. Because if I'm already live, then it's too late. Yeah, I did, Kiwi. Some can have fun with work. Oh boy!
Ah, you've come. I'll begin by wearing you down.
No worries, Bronto. Even still, if it had been walk and talk, if you post the clip when I'm already live, then I won't get to it until next time.
Kill and survive and so forth. Here, I shall prepare the stage for battle.
But hey, if you want some advice, then I do say you can always post it. If you ask outside of the clip reviews bit, then I would probably... Oh, whoops, I forgot to use Blood Lily first. I would probably be able to give some tips on, you know, something in the classroom, for instance, if you know there's something particular going wrong. Others might be able to help as well. So hey, Yobo-san, hope you're doing well. Oh man, if I hadn't wasted that lily before, I would have had a blood lily to open with. Oh, I can just stay here. Hey Shaman, hope you're doing well. Is going all in on spell speed really the way to go on Black Mage? The way you're wording that, no it isn't. It's a way to go on Black Mage. I do believe the general that the data suggests that slow mage is capable of reaching higher, but overall, for like 99% of black mage use, just choose whichever one you prefer, and that'll be good enough. Alright, Bobamet, have a good nap. Hey, Asymmetricon. Hope you're doing well. Yes, basically as Asymmetricon says, crits always have the better capacity to get really lucky. And they might also scale slightly better with raid buffs and such. But the power difference between a speed build and a crit build is small enough that if you you personally will probably do better with whatever you prefer, whatever you find more fun. You're more likely to play more, which means you'll be more well acquainted with, and by being more well acquainted with it, you're more likely to know like the finer details of the particular style that you decided to invest in. And the difference is small enough that will make the difference. Of course, if you're in like cutting edge trying to do the highest possible pass, then of course the only way for you to be the greatest winner of all time is if you choose to master whatever way is the most effective and then focus on that. But that's not quite the same. Like that's a whole different conversation, right? Which is why I'm saying, like, for 99% of players, it doesn't matter. Or rather, it's a personal choice. That's a good point, Malaysia. Hope you're doing well. I think it's been a bit. It's something like 75% of the players. The only thing that matters is the number goes up, probably. Also that. And even for the remaining percent that would care about, like, making a really, really, like, solid choice.
They shall deal appropriately with criminals. Your sentence how long can you defy
they will, of course, as I said, benefit more from just choosing what works best for them. Boom.
Criminals may run, but they cannot escape.
Hey, Evertuni. Hope you're doing well. The Van Patel fight before Van Patel. Yeah, I think it's been a decent day, Opportunity. How about you? Hey, Roland. Hope you're doing well.
I bid you continue on.
I can say in the spell speed versus crit Black Mage stuff, me personally, I went like full spell speed for prog on the last raid tier, And it wasn't until like super late in the raid tier that I started to notice like specific weaknesses, in my opinion, of speed Black Mage. Well, it's not exactly an opinionated weakness, it's more like a weakness that matters, in my opinion. That was a weakness that Slow Mage didn't have to nearly the same degree. Which was why I changed. The particular thing that stood out to me, Shaman, was there's two things. The first one is that when you reach a certain amount of spell speed on Black Mage, when you use ley lines, you can no longer double weave on instant casts. Which matters if you're doing stuff like UI1 B3 Swift cast shenanigans. Because that means that you're finishing most of your astral fires with a double weave if you're allowed to. Hey Gamora, we are on EU as usual. You can see in the pinned comment where we are stationed. Hey, sorry, Mix. Hope you're doing well. Thank you, Gamora. Hey, Solar Blades. Hope you're doing well as well. It won't become so hard and different, Solar Blades. It's the basic rotation of high-level Black Mage isn't too complicated. It's more the finer details of what you can optimize, which is for the most part optional. Remember that. Like, unless you're doing like Savage raiding, where you would already have chosen to play the hard stuff to even get there, right? That's where it really matters. That you can do this. But yeah, I would say the job that uses spell speed the best is Black Mage, because it's capable of choosing. Where most other jobs are like, they want a specific amount and that's it. They're not like that. They don't actually they're like the fake spell speed appreciators that just tosses it aside like an old toy when they have enough. But the things for me was specifically that the double weaving gets difficult, or rather impossible, when you reach over a certain spell speed amount during ley lines, which I found mildly annoying. And it's just something that Slow Mage doesn't have to deal with. But if Slow Mage had to deal with that, I would just had, dealt with that. Like, it's not such a big deal that that was the deal breaker. The thing that actually mattered more is that if you are using things like UI1 B3 Swiftcast on the Rex, then it matters that when you reach a certain spell speed amount, you need so many Swift casts and so many triple casts that you barely have any to spare for actually moving. Which again, Slow Mage does not have that problem, because they are just slow enough that they probably have a whole additional use of either one. It feels like per loop than Fast Mage does. So it's like minute stuff, small stuff that you might not care about. Like, the way that I've described it is that I've seen a lot of Black Mages that, they get into optimizing Black Mage, right? And whoops. And then they hear those, a lot of more casual players are probably more likely to be interested. And that's not a negative, that's not a bad thing, but I could imagine that spell speed Black Mage sounds more exotic and more unique, more fancy than slow, because you have a job where you're actually, I would almost say, allowed to choose spell speed. So because nearly no other job does that, well, I'm gonna do that, right? I'm gonna do that. Of course I am. But that then leads these, more experienced black mages to be like, no, don't do that. We've been there. We know better, quote unquote. We know better. Don't go down the same mistake we did. But the way that I see it is the only way for you to truly understand the problems that I'm talking about is by playing fast mage, like actually playing fast mage and playing it a ton and being like, oh, that's a little bit annoying. Oh, that's a little bit annoying. Oh, that's inconvenient. Like, you have to see those small issues and then choose it for yourself. That, no, actually, I think I'll try slow next. And then you'll find that maybe those problems are not present there. But it doesn't matter enough that you should change your preference based on what I said. The only way for you to truly know what's best is to try one and then switch to the other one and see what you like better. I'll say, Matthew, hope you're doing well. And hey, Jasper, hope you're doing well as well. Which is better, spell speed user, black mage, or 70 summoner? I mean, level 70 summoner is probably better at using spell speed, but that's, like a very specific instance of speed. And I believe it also has to do with the fact that that it just has some crazy scaling there. But yeah, genuinely, a huge positive with a lot of the changes to Black Mage is that we now can say, and I'm saying that as a positive because, a lot of people like a specific job and then will feel like, oh, then I can't play it for whatever reason. Is that the changes that have come to Black Mage since 7.2, for instance, have made the job approachable enough that we can say, no, it's not hard. The general rotation is very approachable. The difficult stuff comes in optimizing. Which, honestly, I feel like that's... Like, there's debate, like, there's something to be said about how much optimization there is. Like, how much you actually can do. But the approaching the job isn't so hard that you can't even get started. I think is that not being the case anymore, or not feeling like it is the case anymore, because arguably it might not ever have been the case. And I think that's a good thing. Anyway, if you would like to join me for level cap dungeons, come on over to me. I have a list of names that has already approached me, and I also want to add more to that list. There isn't a group 3 or something that is still on the duty, is there? I think I have gotten the names. Oh, wait, were you the whole party, Naomi? Does transpose steal CUs at higher levels? Yes. Once you hit level... Actually, once you hit level 40, transpose is basically mandatory to do AoE decently. Like, there's a basic rotation that doesn't require transpose, but transpose makes it so much better that if you check my guide, I basically mention the basic rotation exists, and then I never mention, then I never talk about it. I just focus on the superior rotation that uses transpose. It's such a huge difference. It's not hard, but transpose is required. For single target, you're gonna need transpose for switching to ice in downtime at the very least, and then there's things like the things that I refer to as UI1 V3 Swiftcast, one that I was made aware is still a thing, that let's call that AF1 F3 Swiftcast, which matters from level 35 to some degree to level 89. But again, these things are not mandatory. These are the optimization stuff that if you want to, you can do it. If I'm playing Black Mage on stream and I'm in a level range where I can use some shenanigans to optimize that I know exists, you will see me do it regularly. I will do it all the time, and I will be looking, I will be glancing. If there's another Black Mage, I'll be taking note of who's higher on enmity, because that I care that I can do it well. But you don't have to. As Metricon says, Black Mage just needed a better PR department. You know, that is actually an excellent point. Like, let's just say that the people speaking for Black Mage, I know that a lot of them said, like, they have said in retrospect, they were like, we knew that the job was hard. We said that it was hard, but we said it was hard and we want to teach you. But the way that it was typically received was, it's hard and exclusive, you can't learn it. Even though that's never what was meant in the first place. Also, I've been told. So yeah, what it actually needed was a better PR department. That's really what it needed all along. Apex, hope you're doing well. And thank you for celebrating 9 months as part of the Cult of Pink. Wow.
Your smile means all is
Thank you so much.
with the world.
And yeah, it's gonna be great with 7.1 next week, by the way, guys. Next week is 7.1. Relic time again. I'm going to be finishing upgrading the last relics I have to like the current maximum, like a car, like just sliding sideways. 7.41, sorry, 7.41. I'll be finishing it like sliding sideways in a race over the finish line because I have like 2 left. I actually wanted to use Umbral Soul there. Oh well. the spell queuing said, oh, there's someone you can use Blizzard 3 on, so I guess you are. Finish the relics with an Akira slot. Yeah, exactly. I'll say, Lex, hope you're doing well. Optimization trick: this boss cleaves in very specific locations. I think I just overrode my fire starter there. Oh well. We didn't want it anyway. There is optimization arguments for why you can skip it and it doesn't matter. Hey Necrophits, hope you're doing well. Alexandria sung by a cat. The 2 minute, I think the 2 minute burst is coming up, but the boss is also almost dead. Hey Sally and Bob, hope you're doing well.
You are my people, and I will protect you. Painful memories of war, I lay to rest.
Foreign entities detected. Proceeding with removal.
Bruh, right in my ley lines? I was using those, you know? If an AoE appears in your ley lines, it's always the tank's fault and not your own. Well, sometimes it targets you, so not much the tank could do. Just place your ley lines and close your eyes for the next 20 seconds. But when you close your eyes...
Security breach confirmed. Initiating level 5 security protocol.
Disassembly. Another disassembly. Yeah, one could say, if you're lower level on Black Mage and you're worried about the complexity of the job at higher levels, the points where it really, the complexity largely, I would say, comes down to planning out your rotation in such a way that you keep going, even when the game keeps asking you to move. That's one part, and then there's the smaller things, like the specific named tricks that we sometimes talk about. Which is part of the reason why it's like, it's not that hard, it's not that bad, but the difficult part is difficult to put, like, to like, pinpoint.
Fear not. You will
Because it's about
only
planning
run.
rotation. But it is not that hard.
And at the
In
last,
like, it's more, it's a lot of
endless.
things that you will probably learn as you play the job. And oh, I can do that too.
Initiate Caetsu protocol.
I'd also say a huge thing that can help you have more fun with it is if you allow yourself, like, you know, within reason, but if you allow yourself to just do something that might not be specifically known to be optimal. Because there are some tricks where it's not entire, like where it's like some super niche thing that, yeah, actually if you do that, that's basically fine. But it's not on the list of things you should be doing. Hey Alice, hope you're doing well. Actually, Lilith, I basically said something to that effect in my "Why is Machinist bad?" video. That the real problem is that Machinist is the numbers on it are not quite right for where it needs to be, for what it wants to be. But Machinist is, to be fair, strong enough that you can play Machinist. But it is rough that, like, if you have a job you really enjoy, but the reason it isn't good enough is because of numbers, nothing else, and you then kind of have to justify yourself every time. Like that really sucks, right? There's nothing else to say there. That's just like, that's it. And yeah, also, as I said in said video, Machinist becomes better the worse its party is. Because Machinist has tools that are nice to have for the worst party, and it doesn't rely on party members to do the damage for it. So it will, like, relatively speaking, perform better than the other ranged physicals. But generally, when we compare jobs, we don't assume that you're going to have a bad party, right? So that kind of becomes, yeah, but why would you, like, that's not a really important, like, that's not a super valuable quality to have, that you're good when your party is bad. You know? Like, step one there would be get a better party, not play Machinist.
Energy accumulation complete. Initiating final attack protocol. Foreign entities remain.
Hey, no players. Hope you're doing well.
Attempting total annihilation. Annihilation. Annihilation.
No player says, can't imagine balancing a job which has basically 100% guaranteed uptime is hard. I can. This is how much damage we expect a job with 100% uptime should be doing. Then you take a job that is not expected to have 100% uptime and go, okay, well, they need to do more damage if they don't have 100%, because they might not have guaranteed 100% uptime. But then good players have 100% uptime anyway. And Machinist got deducted damage because it's guaranteed. And the other jobs didn't, because it was not guaranteed, but they still have it. That's where the problem lies. Potentially. It could be something else, but that's where it comes from. That's also why we have, like, we've called it ranged tax, quote unquote. Is, they get taxed for being ranged. Because, and notably being ranged and fully mobile. But you could also view it another way. The other jobs are getting free extra damage because they might not have full uptime. They don't, lose out on uptime, so they do more damage than Machinist, who's basically guaranteed to have full uptime. That's the logic that I believe can explain how you can get it wrong. Now, I agree that it is incredible that Machinist has been in the position that it is for so long. Asymmetricon says, I'm not sure how they track how much damage a job does, since they haven't touched Black Mage's AoE, even though that's been a known problem for the entire expansion. I assume what you mean by problem is Black Mage doesn't really use High Fire 2 or High Blizzard 2 for their AoE rotation, and the rotation that completely bypasses them is considered better. I have said before that hypothetically, if they wanted the transposed flare rotation that Black Mage is known for now to be the way that you do the AoE rotation, then leaving something like High Blizzard 2 and High Fire 2 as backups. Besides, like, there can be niche situations where those buttons are good anyway. But leaving them as backups for players that simply can't figure that out or can't handle it, and for low-level situations for that matter, is a nice meeting in the middle. We want you to play in this mega janky way, but if you can't do it, here's a backup. Now, I'm not saying that we have evidence that they want you to do that, but if they wanted to do that, it would look like this too, I think. So there is at least an argument to be made that it could be deliberate. And I do get that the difference is massive. But yeah. There is also something that I think is worth mentioning once again. Because something when we talk about Blizzard 2 being bad, that we're forgetting here, is that in A Realm Reborn, Blizzard 2 did 50 potency and was centered on yourself. It was so bad that if your only AoE option was Blizzard 2, you didn't have an AoE option. Fire 2 was of course okay, but Blizzard 2 was that. And it stayed like that in Heavensward, in Stormblood, even in Shadowbringers. It wasn't until Endwalker that they went, hey, wait a minute, I think we forgot something, guys. And then made it centered on the enemy, made its potency match with Fire 2, and also at some point they removed its ability to bind enemies. I think that was actually there too. Basically, Blizzard 2 originally was like WoW's Mage Frost Nova, but on a cast time. There's reasons. And that means that the only expansion where Blizzard 2 was actually good was in Endwalker. Before Endwalker, it was useless. After Endwalker, it's nearly useless again. I'm not saying that that was their intention, because that's really weird, but it is funny to think about, because by comparison, I do believe Fire 2 has always been useful. Like, it's particularly funny because in... yeah, exactly, Hopperson, you could say that. You could say that. Did less damage, didn't deep freeze, just bind. What's really funny is... like, the craziest example of this stuff where, like, Black Mage AoE rotation is just mega weird is, I would say, Shadowbringers. Level 40, that's where you get freeze, by the way, to 57. Your AoE rotation was maintain Thunder 2 and spam freeze. Because freeze basically freeze gave you, like, put you in UI, in Umbral Ice, and, you know, maintained the duration. It did decent damage. And because you're in Umbral Ice, it didn't matter. Like, because you're in Umbral Ice 3, it was free, I believe. But even if it did cost something, it didn't matter. You're in Umbral Ice 3. And then it did more damage than switching to Fire to use Fire 2. And the reason why I didn't change it to level 50 is because, well, you didn't want to cast Fire 2. That wasn't super great. To switch to Fire. And if you used Flare, then you would go to 0 MP... and you would not be able to afford an ice spell to switch it to Umbral Ice 3. So you just had... so basically, when you use Flare in Shadowbringers below level 72, you would cast Flare, look stupidly at the enemies, click Transpose, and hope you had a Thundercloud proc. Because otherwise you couldn't cast anything. And... then at level 58, Freeze was able to give you one Umbral Heart, which is just enough to cast Flare. So you would go over to cast Freeze, Fire 2, Flare, Freeze, until you could cast Flare again. Until you had, you know, the resources to go Fire 2, Flare again. Freeze, until you could cast Fire 2, Flare again. Just as a sequence. Hilariously, that's actually basically the rotation you run at level 50 now. Just without the stalling in Ice. You just go Freeze, Fire 2, Flare, Transpose, Freeze, Fire 2, Flare. And at level 72, you could double Flare. Because now, Freeze would be free when you were in Astral Fire 3. How's Anox? Hope you're doing well. Dungeons, can I suggest doing either Thorn March Extreme or Naval Extreme for trials? Been in queue for like 3 hours. I mean, we're doing Roulettes. We won't land in an Extreme at Roulettes. And that sucks, Nox. Hopefully it gets better soon. But it is complicated with these things, especially because... Let me put it like this, guys. Like, just to Nobelius says, I feel like they really don't put much dev time into jobs. Stuff stays weird for way too long. Here's an interesting bit. A huge amount, like I'm saying massive amount, of the jank that the old school players are like, they removed this, they took it away from us, originated from this weird stuff. Mega weird potencies that go, no, actually, that is the rotation you should be going with, not the thing that seems intuitive. You should do this thing instead. And then the devs fix it by getting the potency right, and maybe they they do some other change that means that like the actual intended rotation is better, and then the old timers go, why did they take it away from us? So it puts the developers in a really difficult spot, because if they fix everything, then the players get mad, some of them, that they took away their funny toy. And if they don't fix the things, then a different player will be sitting there going, why are you not fixing this? So it makes it really, really difficult conversation. For instance, the transpose flare stuff that Black Mage has now is at least a little bit of the stuff Black Mage used to have. Yeah, pretty much, Bronto. If you remove the jank, players complain about homogenization. If you keep the jank, players complain about jank. At least give Sage a dot below 30. I don't know. I feel like Sage not having a dot below 30 is actually like, it's a really weird detail, but it's something that makes Sage a little like, oh, that's interesting. Like it's one of those things where we're like, why are all the jobs identical, quote unquote? Why are all the healers the same? Why are all the tanks the same? And then when one of them doesn't have something the others do, we go, why does it not have that? You can see it, right? If you give Sage a dot below level 30, then it's identical to all the other healers at below level 30 in that respect. Then it is closer to identical to Scholar and White Mage below level 30. Is it something that needs to be preserved? No. If they made it so that you had your Tracer at level 1, I would be like, okay. But it is those things where we're like, they should all be equal. Why does that have it and that does not? It's those things that lead to this homogenization we talk about. I'll say, Crab Galaxy, hope you're doing well. Anyway, if you would like to join me for high-level dungeons, come on over to me. Good luck with your project, Bex. If I get Wanderer's Palace again... There exist, in high-level dungeons, there exist 2 duties. Stone Vigil Heart and Wanderer's Palace. I've gotten Wanderer's Palace like 3 or 4 times in a row in the past several days. Ow. Swing. Let's do it together, bro. I love all the memes we've gotten out of heavy bro or bro weight M10. Oh boy. Ow. Hey, save some for me. When your bro is hoarding the adventurers. Hey, save some for me. I ride the inferno. Oh, I should... You know what? I'll give it a go because we already pulled them. I want the haranguing Harrier before I move on. Thank you for the super chat, Chaiji. Hope you're doing well. You're back in the shackles of college. No! We must send a strike squad. Boink. Oh, right. There's just the one mob here. Yeah, the trick with the cannons on this fight is when you see the ads, don't step out of your cannon to attack the ads. Just shoot the ads near someone else's cannon. Just help each other. There's some guys over near me. Hey, Lenu, hope you're doing well. And hey, Seraph, hope you're doing well as well. Same to you forever. Forever. I will be using Super Bolide for this pull. Hey, Vila, hope you're doing well. How did he miss me there? That's actually impressive. No, Guzzle, it straight up didn't hit me. As in, it shot past me. Like, it looked at me, missed, with like an instant cone. Anyway, I'll be right back. And in the meantime, manatee restored. Right, I'm back. Yeah, something that is worth mentioning about Blue Mage in that conversation that you're having in the chat, in the stream chat, is that one thing that Blue Mage couldn't have if it was a normal job is it wouldn't, go about getting its abilities through, fighting things at random. It would be getting them probably primarily through quests, or not, considering if it was released with Dawntrail as a normal job, it would just come into existence with like 80% of its abilities, and then it would get the last 20% just by going, I have an idea, because, Viper and Pixelmancer doesn't even get one ability from the job quests. Not even one. So by current standards, it wouldn't get it. It would just learn everything magically by just thinking about it. The second thing is, if we just look at this page, just this page in the book, the first page, that spell would be too broken. That spell would be pointless. That spell would probably not fly at all. And that spell definitely wouldn't exist. And I could do that for every single page in this book. So when they say Blue Mage wouldn't be Blue Mage if it was a normal job, is that a lot of the actions that Blue Mage has that makes it strange and unique wouldn't work on a normal job. And even if they would work, they obviously wouldn't give it to them, because, a normal job means that Blue Mage would be a normal job, which means that it would not be able to do all three roles. It would be one. And then it means that if it's a DPS job, then it wouldn't have ice spikes. Obviously. There's no point in giving it ice spikes. It could have some version of ice spikes that worked similar to Tengetsu. It's like some sort of like, hit me, and then something happens. It could have some version of Final Sting, but it probably wouldn't have anything to do with, like, dying. Because that would... I don't know why, but I have a feeling that that wouldn't fly in a normal body. Or Sting. And you can continue down the list. Bad Breath only makes sense for a tank Blue Mage if you really think about it. And White Wind only makes sense... Like, you could have, like, a very neutered version of White Wind as, like, an OGCD that you could use as a DPS or a tank. Like, similar to Divine Veil or Lux Solaris. But it wouldn't be White Wind, because it would be too strong. I hope so too, Ilana. And Lilith, I think you're being a little bit... You're focusing a little bit too much on what they said and not what they meant. When they say we couldn't do Blue Mage as a normal job, the implication is we couldn't do Blue Mage as a normal job to a degree where we and or the players would be satisfied with it. Because if you had a normal job Blue Mage and it had these things, like a neutered White Wind that is just does an AoE heal of 400 potency or something on a cooldown, instead of this, then players would be like, why is White Wind not what it is in every other Final Fantasy game? Just like we're like, why can't Dark Knights spend their HP as a resource? Like, those kinds of things, where it's like, there's some sort of design miss, but that's something we talk about a lot in, like, today anyway. Like, do the jobs actually match their identity? Do they match what we want them to be? And Blue Mage wouldn't work as a normal job, because it would be a very, very basic version of what it could be. I will say, I personally would have preferred if Blue Mage was released as a tank job. The like the idea is there. It's a job that is a mage that needs to get like the general idea is you need to get hit by an attack to then learn it. It makes sense for the blue mage to be hit. It's part of its whole background that it gets hit, so it makes sense for it to be a tank. So they could have made blue mage straight up a tank job, but because blue mage has so many things attached to it that it can do, it would be lacking a lot of things. That feels like, why wasn't it DPS? Why wasn't it a healer? It can do everything in all the other games. You could argue that red mage has a similar thing. And red mage arguably is lacking in that department. It's a mix of black and white magic. Okay, what black magic does it have? A lot of destructive magic. Okay, what white magic does it have? It has raise and heal and a lot of destructive magic. Arguably, Embolden could also be considered some sort of supportive magic. I think in some cases, damage boosting buffs can be black magic. And in some cases, that's actually white magic. Not sure. I think there's a spell called Temper in really old Final Fantasy games that increases your physical attack. Your own physical attack. And I believe it's a black magic spell, which makes it basically pointless because you have to cast it like 30 times before it does something. But Lilith, what I'm arguing is not that that indeed they can't. What I'm arguing is that you're being pedantic and you're focusing on what they said, not what they meant. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying them saying we can't make blue mage as a normal job. They obviously can. They could make anything as a normal job. If they wanted to, they could just make it and just choose how it is. What they mean when they say they can't is that they can't make it to a degree where people would be happy with it. That's what they mean when they say stuff like that. When they say they can't, they generally mean we can't do it in a way that would be satisfying. And the shorter version is just saying we can't. Anyway. Oh, thank you. I did need some watering. Fantastic. If you would like to join me for leveling roulette, come on over to me. I'll move a little bit so that I get that right. Just a second here. Wait, I'm goofing it up. I'm goofing it up here. I'm getting very confused. Liv, you were in the last group. I believe Saf has waited a bit longer. Sorry about that. I have a list, but I can't bring someone who isn't here. That is on the list, but I can bring someone who has waited longer. Yeah, see, the thing is, Necrofits, I checked it thrice. The reason why I was looking at it and taking notes and then invited was because I had written something wrong, and then I still got it wrong. We will get a level like 60 something dungeon. We actually talked about that on a recent stream, Lilith. And counterpoint, when we say they could have had both Blue Mage and Blue Mage Limited, the Blue Mage Limited version, the Blue Mage that would be considered a normal job would probably be so different from the Limited version that you could have had Blue Mage twice, or you could have, you know, the Limited Blue Mage and another job. Although, arguably, it's possible that that the art assets could be reused to such a degree that they could actually have Blue Mage just in addition to, now that I think about it. But this is something that we have talked about, like, I think like Tuesday, actually. You know, that is actually also a good point, Gazel. If they did have, if they did make Blue Mage limited and non-limited versions like that, it would only be a matter of time before players would be like, okay, well, why can't we have limited Dark Knight? Or limited Warrior? Or limited White Mage? Or saying, oh, that job is too strong, it should be a limited job. Weird things like that. I mean, that's of course, like, when we start thinking like this, just real quick, guys, when we start thinking like this, we quickly run into a situation where nothing can be made because someone is going to take it the wrong way. Limited machinist where it's as strong as people feel like it should be. Wow. Oof. Oh. But I generally think that it is, like, I think it's a shame every time we have something where, like, a job isn't quite living up to expectations. I think it's a shame that we have things like Machinist where, like, it's not strong enough. While it is acceptably strong, it is not strong enough based on both, like, player expectations and comparing to other jobs that it is actually competing with. The same can be said in exactly the same can be said about Summoner, that one could also use some help for most of the same reasons. The only thing that Summoner has over Machinist is it technically has a raid buff and it has a raise, but like, broadly speaking, they have the same problems. That they're both not strong enough. Whether it is literally not strong enough, or if it's, well, like, community perception. And then it gets amplified because it is weaker than the competition. Which then means that the best players that could make the most of the jobs are not using them, which makes them look even worse. It is something that I also talked about in my... I believe I did talk about this in my Machinist video as well. That Machinist... Like, it's hard to say how much of a difference it makes, but Machinist not being the best ranged physical means that it just generally doesn't get used by top-performing players. Which means that in week 1 of Savage... I mean, the best players are not using it, that's for certain. And by the time players will be using it, it's unlikely that it will be the players that would make it shine the brightest. And that means that it just has a lot of issues that it's hard to tell how strong Machinist actually can be sometimes, because it might be that the actual difference is smaller, but because of weird. Because a lot of what we have is actual practical data. It's hard to say. I don't know. But it would be nice if there was no such thing as a job in Final Fantasy XIV where you quote unquote can't use it because it's not strong enough. Even if the can't is like a pretty small can't. I also feel the same about when a job gets changed, and that means that the old version doesn't exist, and there are people that liked that version. Like, that sucks for them, right? And I can also say, that I just reiterate, I've said this before, I was a Summoner main before Endwalker. I was technically also Summoner main at the start of Endwalker. Then stuff happened. That stuff wasn't, oh, Summoner sucks now. It was more that I wanted to play something else. Hey Shaq, hope you're doing well. And hey Dragnir, hope you're doing well as well. Says, would a potency upgrade be enough? For Machinist? Or Summoner? For which job do you mean, Dragnir? Either or both. Yeah, a potency buff could make both good enough, I think. Like, it could. But there is an argument to be made that some might prefer that that's not how it gets fixed. But most definitely, I'm pretty sure that a potency buff is what is actually being asked for most of the time. I would also add, and I know that there's that it goes a little deeper than this, but I would also add that right at launch of Dawntrail, Dark Knight was the weakest tank in terms of damage output, for a moment at least. And then it got some damage buffs. What I think is important, and I reiterate, it goes a little deeper than this, but I do want to reiterate that right at the start of Dawntrail, there was a lot of talk about how Dark Knight was boring and not strong enough. And right after the potency buffs, those complaints mostly disappeared, or at least people stopped talking about it. Which is to say, some players are satisfied with potency buffs. If they're mad that a job isn't fun, if it's strong, then they don't mind.
Die, die, die!
Lilith, if your point is about what I'm talking about, then I think you completely missed my point. I'm just reiterating, people were not saying that Dark Knight was weak. People were saying that Dark Knight was boring. And then it got potency buffs, and suddenly it wasn't boring. Do you get what I'm saying? I'll say, Bread Bean Queen, hope you're doing well. And Madoyon, hope you're doing well as well. Taldeman says, I've been learning Reaper lately and ended up enjoying it a little more than I thought. I've seen suggestions that either Viper or Reaper should have a big transformation in 8.0, and I don't know what to think. The interesting thing there is, I think the reason why people are saying that is because Viper feels like, what if we made exactly Reaper? And then just changed a little thing here and there. What if we made Reaper again? It's not exactly like that, and in practice it doesn't feel exactly like that, but if you look a little further, like with a little more perspective, and don't go too deep, it does look at face value like they went, we made Reaper again. And also, I guess it also makes sense that if Viper was the one that came second, then it would probably make more sense for that one to be changed. So he says, I think those comparisons would disappear if people could see a whole filler combo laid out on a bar. I don't think so. The exact reason why they get compared is because both Viper and Reaper spend an enormous amount of time just going... The difference is that for Reaper it looks like this, and for Viper it looks like this. And no, it's not 222 111. It's, you know, it's 222 111 221 112 222. It's a very slight nuance there, but it's roughly 1, 2, 3. If they just made it so that the buttons just changed on their own, and it was a 1, 2, 3 combo, it would look very similar, wouldn't it? Hey Tongue, hope you're doing well. It's a weird conversation, and part of the weird conversation is simply that the people talking about these things are not always very good at knowing what they want. The way that I've described it is the developers could do exactly what, you know, some amount of players ask for, knowing that it would not be well received, hypothetically. They would be like, no, that's a bad idea, but it's been asked for a lot. And then when it is released, and it then sucks, whether the developers knew or not, doesn't matter, but they do the thing, then the players go, well, this sucks, and the devs can say, but you asked for it, and then the players are like, we asked for it, but in a cool way. Like, you just had to do it goodly. Like, that's basically it. Like, it gets complicated. A similar comparison to what I do is that I have sometimes asked for input on video ideas. And sometimes I've seen people be like, oh, you should make something about this. And then I can be like, I did. And no one watched it, clearly. Because you didn't even know I made it. Or, you should make this. A lot of people say it. And then I make it. And then almost no one sees it. It doesn't happen often. So I don't have a lot of data. And I'm not blaming the people suggesting it. Again, ultimately, it's on me. Because I chose to do it, right? But that's the same thing with the developers, which is why when the players say they should just do this, and then everyone would be happy, and the devs just don't do that, and they don't do that, and they don't do that, we can assume that there's a very high possibility that either the developers see something we don't, they have a different idea, they wanted it differently. There's also the possibility that they're incompetent. But let's just say that if we jump to the conclusion that they're incompetent, that's an equally dissatisfying answer. Because then why are we here? Right? Still waiting for a post-Moogle job guide. Gizzle says, does that mean if I keep repeating the Shadowbringer Summoner guide Kai made, there will be a new Shadowbringer Summoner video? There wouldn't, because I couldn't make one. And that's true in Nopelius, but sometimes it's really hard to actually know where those suggestions are coming from. Another interesting example of that, Lilith, is I believe in Endwalker, the first raid tier was people complained that there was nothing to heal. Then the second raid tier was filled to the brim with dots all over the place. Multiple bosses had dots on their tank busters, and raid-wise out the wazoo with dots, which is something that, like, most DPS and tank jobs that have heals are like, boom, done. So they're very good at dealing with a big blob of just boom damage and maybe just mitigating it. But a long dot that does a lot of damage, that's hard for not healers to deal with. And then the second raid tier, people complained about there being too many dots. And some probably also complained that it was too hard to heal it. Anyway. Right, where the 8-man stuff. Do this. If you would like to join me for Trials Roulette, come on over to me. I'm over here. Oh boy. Remember to water your lizard. Indeed. We call them bleed whites. Nice. So many people here. Let's see. Oh man, I'm already at 7. Red Beans says, this is also mirrored in real life. Ask people what they want in a car and they will likely say more space and proceed to complain that cars are getting too big. This is actually a fantastic example, yes. Oh man! We get funny black mage opti time.
If I must forsake myself to keep mine oath, then so be it.
Snake. I didn't even know there was a whole group too. Hey, Poof. Hope you're doing well.
Beg not for mercy.
What if I ran over here? Oh, never mind. What if I just stand still? You've nowhere to run! I'm just gonna hold then. You've nowhere to run! Oh, he's transitioning.
Tremble before true power.
Tremble before true power. I'm trembling. I cast foul. Bam. Alright, Crab Galaxy, enjoy your meeting.
Impudent mortals.
Yeah, we did get Serio yesterday, right? Weird.
Grant me the strength to smite mine enemies.
Grant me the strength to smite mine enemies. Kaboom! Ow. I feel smited. You got me.
Ah, stubborn fools. This is far from over.
They're swift as a coursing river. A snake man here could use a bro. 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 Bro.
None can match my might.
None can match my might. Can we match him maybe? None can match my probably. Guys, look, it's Titan Prime. Hey Jeff, hope you're doing well. I feel like dailies are going pretty well.
You know where to run.
You have nowhere to... I'm just gonna run over here. I'm pretty sure I can run over here. Yep, looks good to me. Take this. Triple cast optimization. Take this.
No! I will not lose. I
Cannot. Was it a good nap, Bubumet? Nice. No, I cannot lose. I cannot loses. I cannot. Dies. Man. Right, well, we're doing normal raids next. If you'd like to come along for that, come on over to me. I'm over here in the blob of people already here. We'll see how many also want to come in, and then we'll figure out what we do about it. I think we'll do it like this. I'm ending up using too much brain power trying to figure out getting exactly the perfect 7. I'm very sorry. And that's true, Lilith. Healers has basically walked through, like, there's always something wrong, right? As Matecron says, I just want to use Cure 2. Solid. Boop. Are you ready for... I'm going to guess that we're getting... Fist of the Father. O2. More level 70 Black Mage. Ooh. How does this fight work again? You press the extra button sometimes. Yeah, I guess I get that, Rakao, but we're also specifically on EU for that exact same reason that I'm not very confident in my ability to... Basically, the reason why we generally go on my home data center is because I have a feeling that the EU players will not have a lot of fun playing on OCE, and the NA players might also not have a lot of fun. There's an argument that they will have more than 0, but it might be more fun to just stay at home, right? So, for those reasons, I end up just going, we'll just stay where I know at least I have a good experience with the connection. Maniacal probe. No worries, Rakao. It's the pool noodles of doom! Never mind. Yeah, I generally have something in the ballpark of 300 MS when I play on OCE. It's playable. If you catch my meaning. It's playable. But it is it's definitely something where if I'm playing on OCE, the main motivation is not actually playing the job. Exactly, OCE double weave. Nope. To some degree, Monk single weaves get a little bit awkward. Fupoof says, I started playing the game on Materia while it's located in Ireland. That's a weird choice. So I thought the game was just like that. Ah, wow. That is pretty funny. I mean, if you're used to it, you wouldn't notice. Right, so next up, if you would like to join for Alliance Raid, just coming over to me. Just stay in the group, we'll figure out. But if you want to join for Alliance Raid, Roulette, coming over to me. So we can get a head count. But specifically, do come over to me if you want to join. We are 9. So we should go with a 4 and a 5. That also, if you'd like to do that, Tong, that would also... Oh, Gazel also wants to join, so we're actually 10. Where is Gazel actually? Blasting ring. We can probably wait for M3. We can make the 2 5-man groups while we wait. Does someone want to... Yeah, I think we are doing group 2, Shaq. We will do a group 2. We'll do a group 2. But that means that the group that I'm in is gonna be 5. And you need to be 4 and then Gassel in the group 2, I think. You also need Alethea, I think? Maybe? Alethea? Tong, Naomi, and Ilana, I think, would be the group 2. If... Assuming that you're making group 2. Buvumet is also coming. Oh. And Rost is... Okay, then we're like 12, I think. The funny thing is, actually, the last time I played, like, genuinely on OCE for something, is Mero Buvumet. The last time I played OCE, played on OCE genuinely for like fighting, was in a map group, and I played Black Mage because Black Mage's current iteration is actually pretty okay on OCE. Actually, the one thing you can't do well in OCE is transpose flare. That won't work. That's actually what you need Fire 2 and Blizzard 2 for, is for bad connections. It's that bad, yes. Who is in... Is the group 2 the ones that are standing over there? Hmm. So you just need Gassel. Wait. You're 5 now, right? Are you 4 still? 4. Okay, so you need Gassel and Rust. and Shaq was playing Viper on 300 MS. Nice. Oh boy. Oh, I have a single weave. Never mind. Oh, you were 4 in there as well. When then I need at least one of you if you were 4 and you're all up for joining. I'll grab Rust. Never mind, I'll not grab Rust. I'll grab Lorenzia. And then if you get Gassel as well, we should be 7 and 7. You know, I do recall seeing that text, Gamore, but for some reason I always thought it was something else because there's lock. But I couldn't possibly tell you what it would be. Is party 2 ready? Fingers crossed you get something other than Crystal Tower. Well, the more players we have, the more likely it is that we don't have a proper overlap. I will queue when it says 10:20. I know that's a little bit of a while to wait, but that makes sure that you can see it. I'll say if we land in something that you can't because you have a 90, That would be very surprising. Guys! Cancel? Laurencia, Bradinta, Pardon, and Olivia. Really, really important thing. You can't teleport away when we're about to queue. You can't do that. I can't queue when you're in a loading screen. Why? What was so important? We were gonna queue and you weren't gonna get grabbed away from whatever you were gonna do anyway. Now, come back here right now so I know you're not getting up to other weird shenanigans that prevents me from queuing. So silly. We try again from the top. Somehow Light Party 2 didn't actually go in. I will queue when it says 11:10. AK, hope you're doing well. And X Todd, hope you're doing well as well. Is anyone else getting consistent timeouts in the launcher by any chance? I'm not, at least. I'm not upset, I'm just confused. Cancel again if you didn't get an instant pop. Okay. Guys. If you don't have the appropriate item level, it will say in the text that you're the bad boy or girl or something else. So I assume everyone that got that message went oops and then changed. Is Team 2 ready again? And I'm pretty sure, for the record, that this may be the last time. If, like, basically, if someone has done it, has not if someone prevents us from going in now, then we're not getting in group with Team 2 because they got it. They got it right every time. Team 1. And the third time is the last chance because Team 2 cannot choose no a third time. Or they will actually get blocked for 30 minutes. And then we'll have to sit here for 30 minutes feeling bad for them. And we will do that. We probably won't. But don't, like, I sure hope everyone has actually made sure that it is right now. I will queue at 12:00. It should say if you open the duty finder, Liv. It should straight up say to you that you're not qualified if you're not qualified. Kai really was a teacher. I was not. I was a teacher's assistant. Are you saying that after all this, we don't even land in the same one? Also, thank you for the Prime, Richard. Thank you so much for the support. As ARC, hope you're doing well as well. Yeah, that sucks that we didn't end in the same one after all that. Congratulations for making it into a duty, right? We need to find 10 more people next time. Oh, so that we would have we would be able to fill out all 3 parties? You know, something really sad about Alliance Raid Roulette is that you can't actually queue for Alliance Raid Roulette even though you're 24 players. Hey Shackman, hope you're doing well. That is funny. Doth one sub equate a hype train? Apparently it activates one. Well, thank you so much. And glad to hear that, Richard. Thank you so much. I believe both of those properties would make it really rough to be a teacher, Kay. You got Puppet's bunker? Oh man, we could have all been there. Yeah. Blech. Blech. Oh, well. Ugh. What do you think this step's gonna be? You mean the next Alliance raid? Also, thank you for celebrating 22 months as part of Call of the Pink Front, so thank you so much for the support. And yeah, that is correct. The thing that gives you Adder Stings is Evacuation Diagnosis breaking, or specifically the Evacuation Prognosis on you breaking. In a world where we're not like a skeleton crew of like, I don't know, 3 people doing the bottom side of the fight. That is kind of like a DPS check in a weird way. Did you know that you get into the lower floor by falling through the dirt that appears from the deep earth ether? And then you come down and help with the key knots. And then you kill the web maiden. And then you fall down. You actually fall down regardless of whether you kill the web maiden. Oh, the relic weapon. Uh-oh. Well. I wonder where they will go with the name, but based on what I've seen, this next step is one of those where they massively change the visual on it. So they could easily go with a completely different name as a result. The task this time around, I would be very surprised if... So I'm going to assume that there will be, you know, a quest you have to do, like some task, that might just be a reference to something from an old Relic quest line again. And then, once you've done that, you need 1,500 tomestones per additional weapon. It would actually surprise me if that's not what they're doing. And on the relic step itself, they already gave us a light grind, which is basically where my brain goes every time. It could be books. It could be do all these dungeons. It could be a fate grind. It could be some objective in Occult Crescent, but that would be surprising. I'll say that you do. Hope you're doing well. We already have fates though. That's true. Could be a dungeon grind. We kind of have that too in a way. I feel like the one thing they could do on this next step that wouldn't be like, well, we kind of already had that. I feel like would be books of some sort. We kind of had a conversation about this on Discord earlier today, yeah. Like, the thing that makes a lot of people really dislike the book step, typically, is the fates associated with them. So, my suggestion on that is if they instead reworked the books, or rather, you know, they reused the book step, but maybe they had less books in total. Maybe they have the same amount. Like, to be fair, this time it's one time you'd have to do it with the current design, right? So it would not be as bad. And then specifically the fate step, just like the fate part of a book, just make it do an X amount of fates in that zone instead. I think that would already be better received, because the main problem with the fates in the books from A Realm Reborn is that it's like, do this specific fate that isn't going to spawn for 45 minutes. And like, over half of the fates in any given zone is irrelevant to any book. Jose Mandaloy, hope you're doing well, says, can you pronounce? I think it's called Ma, but I actually don't know. I've heard many different pronunciations, so I don't actually know. Jose National Soup, hope you're doing well. Oops. do the Chaotic Alliance 10 times. So the good news, question mark, on something like that is that they don't ever require you. I think the last time they required you to do an actually truly hard content for Relic, I think was in Stormblood, where I believe Baldessian Arsenal is required for the final step of the Stormblood relics. And minus that one, they haven't really done that ever. You do deep dungeons instead? There was a step in Shadowbringers where you had deep dungeons as an option. Tomas Baldessian what? The last grand finale of Eureka from Stormblood is like a mega dungeon called Baldessian Arsenal. That's basically part of the inspiration for the Fork Tower from Occult Crescent. Yeah, that one is a classic story, National Soup. The greatest, I would say, issue you could say that there was with Stormblood relics was that the stats on the weapons were entirely random, which did mean that for the first time ever, best in slot could actually mean all crit on your weapon. Not just a lot of crit, all crit. Hellwind. Wow, Alliance A is not doing too well. Oh boy. They need some milk. They're soft bones. They're brittle bones. Need milk. Yeah, essentially, because of the way the Stormblood relics worked, you pretty much had to participate in everything Eureka had to offer to get those relic weapons. you needed a currency dropped by, you know, the final boss of the first zone to get a certain level on your relic weapon. And I haven't gotten further, to be perfectly honest with you. But I'll assume that it is something similar for each zone that follows. That you basically need to, like... You basically need to do everything that Eureka has to offer to get through the relic. Which is pretty accurate for old school relic weapons. Like both A Realm Reborn and Heavensward relics were very much do everything. With A Realm Reborn being particularly strict about that. Like, the degree to which A Realm Reborn said do everything is extreme compared to any other, like any expansion that followed. Like, keep in mind that in A Realm Reborn, in a way, they did actually ask you to do crafting as well. And by extension, gathering. And you also needed to use desynthesis. Like, they actually asked you to do everything to get a relic. It just so happened that because of the way crafting and gathering works, you could get around it by just paying someone else. And yeah, indeed, as Metricon, the only dungeons from A Realm Reborn that I believe there are certain dungeons from A Realm Reborn that weren't included in the book step. The reason is that those dungeons didn't exist in the book step. That's the reason. It's not that they were like, oh, no, you don't have to have those. They gave you so many dungeons to do that some of them were repeated to make sure that you got them. Like, because they wanted to give you that many books, so you had to do so many things. Like, they made you do everything. They made you do everything. Shadowbringers didn't make you do everything. In fact, even the things you should be doing in Shadowbringers, to some degree, they often offered you an alternative if you didn't want to do the Boja option. There's a Shadowbringer step that is just run Crystal Tower raids. I think that was one of the options. I'm pretty sure you could do something else as well. But yeah, roughly speaking, that was something a lot of people did. I think another option was... wasn't that the one where you could also just do deep dungeons? Or was that a different step altogether? Whee! Ponder the orb. Ponder the Osma orb. He do be Osmang around. Bow. Osmang it up on a Thursday night. Osmerating. Osmang it up. Does that mean being an orb? Does it mean being an orb that turns into pyramid shapes and cubes? Or does it mean something else? What does it mean to Osma it up? How doth one Osma it up? To be Osma is to be an indestructible, inscrutable polygonal shape. Nice. I know this is not what our rando answered, but I do find it very funny that Liv wrote in the chat, what happens if you get hit by that gaze from the intermission? I don't know. However, our random then announced that this shape that was coming up was pyramid. And I do find it very funny to imagine that that's actually what happens if you get hit by the gaze. Pyramid. LFAFL, I think? Nice. You get hit, you get future side for the next. Oh, that could be cool. But isn't it? But that maybe not for a gaze mechanic that is meant to punish you. But that is an interesting idea, just in general. A mechanic where you get where something is done correctly. So, and if you do, you get future sight to see what's coming up next. You could even make it so that it's actually something that accompanies a punishment. So you're like, you actually don't want to get hit, but someone getting hit so you can see what is coming up next would be really handy. Of course, it would only be the person that got hit that would be able to see. That's kind of how Perfect Alexander works. Right, there is something where he shows like a sequence of mechanics, right? Hey, Exodia. Hope you're doing well. I couldn't quite see her angle, and I was willing to escape to leave my ley lines to avoid that damage. I had a feeling someone would be like, well, if I just step over it, it'll probably be fine. It was not fine. Grand Bijou! I am pretty sure Bijou is like a rock, isn't she? Is she a gem? Exactly, Liv. A grand Bijou! Oh, right, that's a donut. Can I make it? Oh no, that's a lot of people. Ow. That's a lot of people. Oh man. Oh boy. Did you know that penetration, an ability she uses, is actually a gaze mechanic? Ow, my toes. It launches you in the direction you're looking. That's true. And if you smash straight into her, you get bonked. Oh, I still don't have that? Well, let's see if a 55 will do it. Looks like someone is waiting out the timer. I didn't win it. And there's like 10 plus people that also needed it. That's actually, that is surprising. Or maybe not. I'll say ESG. Hope you're doing well. Exodia says, the fight gimmick I want to see is a boss who will cancel their casts if the party mitigates too hard. Then when it's worn off again, they start again. That would be... In a normal difficulty duty, assuming the attack that they're doing, of course, still won't wipe you without mitigation, because it's normal. It would probably be pretty funny. On Extreme or Savage... Oh, can you imagine the Party Finder shenanigans? Could you imagine how cursed that would be? Zay Lotus, hope you're doing well. And Red Master, hope you're doing well too. Kind of like, yeah, exactly, kind of like the Warrior of Light thing, where when you LB, if he's not busy doing something, he just uses Hallowed Ground. Clad in prayer, I am invincible! And then your limit break just goes... Assuming you don't retract it, because it does use Hallowed Ground before you're locked into it. You can just start the cast and then cancel, and then it just be like, invuln. And then everyone loses 10 seconds of damage. Cadeus, hope you're doing well. Says, is a max spell speed build good on any job now? It's good on Black Mage. To be clear, Black Mage doesn't mind. As in, you just choose. In the perfect scenario where, like, very, very few players actually live, you'd rather have more crit than more spell speed. But aside from that very small percentage of players, you do whatever you feel better about. Summoner has specific level ranges, 70, where a lot of spell speed is actually really good. All healers except for Sage actually kind of like spell speed this rate here, I believe. So that does mean that at max level, at least half of the jobs that might be interested in spell speed actually likes it. And for clarification, the reason why Sage has a lot of spell speed in the current best in slot set is because Bread Bean is because so much of the gear is okay, so your best in slot set. Okay, so here's your options. Would you like piety or spell speed? That's right. You choose spell speed. That's the reason why Sage has a lot of spell speed in this raid tier. The other healers are just like, yeah, sure. Spell speed is fine. I like it. So basically, Sage is like forced to pick it because the alternative is worse. But yeah, Black Mage actually can, like, Black Mage can play with any amount of spell speed. Any. And going whole hog and just going all in on spell speed is also good on Black Mage. You might not prefer it. You might you could also actually prefer it, but that's a preference thing, and that's actually what I really like about Black Mage, is you can do whatever you want. An interesting thing about that, Necrophits, is that I'm pretty sure that Battle for Azeroth, and specifically the things called Battle for Dazar'alor in World of Warcraft, came out before Seed of Sacrifice. I'm not saying that one copied the other. I would say that the release timeline is close enough that that would be really difficult. I'm just saying it's a really, really funny coincidence. The final boss in Battle for Dazar'alor, Jaina Proudmoore, straight up just uses Ice Block when you click Bloodlust, which is like the big raid cooldown in World of Warcraft. She just becomes invulnerable for 10 seconds. Actually, she just pieces out of the battle for 10 seconds. That doesn't take up all of your Bloodlust, but she does eat like your opening volley on it. And it's really funny because it's not the only time that we've had a sequence where World of Warcraft did a thing and then, like, surprisingly shortly after, Final Fantasy XIV did something kind of similar. And I'm not saying that one copied the other, because I feel like the timeline is short enough that they couldn't. It's possible that they, like Seed of Sacrifice, they hadn't planned the Womao Hallowed Ground meme, and then they saw World of Warcraft did it and went, I mean... But I find it unlikely that that's what happened. And the other time I remember is... there was a boss in a raid in Legion that had, like, a floor with, like, the dark and the light side of the moon on it, and stuff happened when you crossed it. And what made it really funny to me is that when that raid was current and still, like, fresh, maybe it wasn't current anymore, but it was still fresh in my mind, I came back to Final Fantasy XIV, and Tsukuyomi had been added to the game. So I was like, this feels weirdly familiar. You know what I mean? And to be fair, on the boss in Legion, I believe the whole fight centered on this moon thing. I had a feeling, Dunson. I was actually wondering, if I was wondering why you were queuing for those extreme trials earlier. If you have a level 100, why don't you just? I'm guessing you want to do them synced, but if you want to do them so they can clear the quest log, you could do them unsynced. Good luck, Tongue. Silly. Yeah, the keyword recently. I was about to say A Realm Reborn was, as I understand, made with some degree of, okay guys, we need to save Final Fantasy XIV. What MMO did it right? Which one works? World of Warcraft? Okay, we play that. Figure out how they did it. We do that. Within some degree. Like, a lot of A Realm Reborn stuff are, like, very similar to, like older versions of World of Warcraft in some aspects. But in recent memory, there was that bit where Final Fantasy XIV was, you know, advertising that it was, like, the culmination of a decade-long story. And then World of Warcraft was like, yeah, but ours is actually a 20-year-long story that is culminating here. Actually. And yeah, that they actually advertised like that. They didn't do the... Actually, they basically, moments after, like, the 10-year anniversary, like, sorry, the 10-year-long story thing became, like, the advertisement, they suddenly did the 20-year thing. It was really funny. Kiwi says, this is funny, I just yesterday watched an episode of Small Kai where you talked precisely about this. Yeah, well, you know... That's like, yeah, that, you know, the most cursed thing about this is if I reacted to some of my own content, I would probably have a similar experience of, like, thinking, oh yeah, that was just what I was thinking about. Like, if I just hear myself talk about something, I would probably be like, and oh yeah, there's also this other thing, and then on the stream, I would start talking about that. Like, it's specific topics that, you know, stick with me. The Warcraft story is longer than, like, is older than 20 years. Absolutely. But it has had many story arcs that has started and stopped, and story arcs that have been started, and then a different story starts, and then another story ends, and then, like, it's like a web. And when they said this story that has been going all this time for 20 years, when they wanted to sell that, they basically went and said all of these individual stories that have stopped and, like, that has started and stopped in all these years. Actually, it was all the jailer. And it was him all along. Everything leading up to this. Yep. Actually. From the very start. Just so that it could be the 20 years and that everything culminated in this. Yeah, anyway, took a little longer than last time. We had a lot more side tracks. I have been told, and I have heard say that does seem right, that this story writers for WoW at present is essentially either acting like Shadowlands never happened, or just retconning everything that happened in Shadowlands. It just erasing it all. Like, nope, no, actually, never mind. That's not how that works. No, that's not how that works. Actually, never mind. Everyone hated that. Let's just act like it never happened. And the only times where they acknowledge it is points where it's impossible for the story to have functioned without Which I do think is an interesting approach and a scary one. This is how Magic uses Nicole Bolas. He did everything. What about front lines? We could do... well... We could do front lines, but I did actually start with saying we don't do... like, we also didn't do MSQ Roulette. We also didn't do guild tests. But we could do front lines. Go for a super quick Bachman bully. Now that's just mean. If you'd like to join for front lines, come on over to me. See who wants to do some PvP. Let me just do this as well. We are 6. Imagine queuing up for the guild test. Do people do that? Yes. Oh yes. Wait. Something like this, I think. And then we might need a group 2 because we can only queue 4 at a time for frontline. Who wants to lead group 2? Does anyone want to lead group 2? It looks like you have Rost and Laurencia Shack. The reason why that I'm saying we need a group 2 is because we're 6. So we can't go 6. We need 4 and 4. Or 3 and 3. Got him? Okay. Are you ready? Ready to teleport away randomly. I mean, it is something to learn. It can be difficult to know that it blocks the host from queuing to something if you're in the middle of a loading screen. Because the only way for you to know that is if you're the host, you try to queue for something, and then someone is in a loading screen. Do you have a guide on how to get started with PvP? And I mean, super basic for people who have no idea. I made one around the start of Endwalker where they reworked PvP and added Crystalline Conflict. Almost no one saw it. And I don't know very much about PvP. I'm not very good at it. So I don't feel like I'm the right person to do this. Usually, I don't know how much he makes on this anymore. But usually I direct to Salamander, who makes PvP content. But I don't know if he has like a basic, super basic starter guide. My general advice to get started on Frontline is, or even Crystalline Conflict, is go to Wolf's Den Pierre. Then, pick a job. You could start with one you think looks cool. Read its actions. See if you understand its actions. often something that can be really difficult to understand is reading the limit break. Often, you, as a new player to PvP, you may feel inclined to hold your limit break, you know, hold it for like the proper time to use it. The way you really want to use your limit break is you need to be able to tell when you should be using your limit break. And you need to know so many ways you can use it that, especially in frontline, you roll up to a battle and you just know, I'm going to use my limit break for this now. If you have it, you just send it, because you're not gonna get another one until until you spent the first one. And if you just carry it around on your back for the whole duty, then you only get one, just like any other cooldown. So something that I often say is, it's really important that you understand when you should be using your limit break. And also, if you have never done PvP before, then the visit Wilsten Pierre part is mandatory, because otherwise you'll land in a duty with basically nonsense on your hotbar. One more thing is, if you're specifically running frontline, make sure you actually also review the role actions, because you get one and just put that on your hotbar. Make sure you understand what they do, what they're for, and then pick one. And make the most of your toolkit. I like to recommend ranged jobs if you're new to PvP, specifically frontline, because that means that you don't have, like, basically, if you choose a melee job and you're new to PvP, what you're gonna do for the whole frontline is you're gonna be standing in, like, the blob of ranged players being like, ooh, when is it safe to go in? I have no idea. Well, the paladin went in. Well, they're a tank. I don't know when I should go in. And then you just don't do anything for the whole duty, because it's too scary. Like, you, as a melee, you often have to just go, I'm going now, and then just send it, and then maybe it works out. That's not generally how you want to do things. You'll have to know when is the safe time, because you don't want to die. But if you're playing a ranged job, you don't have that angle. For instance, with Black Mage, you have a melee range attack, but everything else is ranged, so you can just stand far away. Another thing is that melee jobs are more likely to be left behind. Which is to say, if you're fighting over a point or something, the instant the point is taken in something like on Salakar or the new one, there is nothing to compete over anymore. So there's actually, the only reason you're still there is to kill people in game. And if that's not what you're there, then you might as well just leave. And that means that it's pretty common that all of the backline just goes, oh, well, battle over, and just runs away. And then you're like, all right, guys, we got them on the run. Wait a minute, why are they turning back? Why are they, oh no, and then you realize there's no one left. You were actually the only person left. But that's much less likely to happen if you're a ranged job, because you will be in the blob of players walking away. And also, as Tamer says, a really important thing about frontline is building battle high. Which is why, like, pretty much every match I've had where my team was, like, getting the golden spoon, just all the nodes spawn super conveniently for us, and we just get, like, we're way ahead on points, but we're not fighting anyone. If that match isn't over in, like, 5 minutes, we lose to both of the other teams being better equipped than us. Like, straight up, just instant, it's over. Also, another pro tip, put the big map on your screen. Oh, yeah. Fantastic. We all landed on the same team. Where does the blob go? Where doth the blob go? Do we have a hive mind? I don't know if we do. So my logic here is there's nothing to do. So I want to... Okay, now there's something to do. Conveniently, there's the A in the top, but we're actually falling way behind right now. What I was doing was I was trying to lead the team to gank red. Because you get battle high from kills. Hey, it gave it to me. The timing draw, I win. Are we getting attacked? Oh, there you are. That is also something that matters a lot for frontline, is that while you can do a lot to prep, take note that there will be a lot of people in frontline that have no idea what they're doing. And if you question them on that, they might even fight you on the suggestion that you should know a little bit. Which is to say, I'm not saying you have to know, but you asked what you should prepare. And basically my point is that there will be players doing frontline that don't know what they're doing. They're just there to mess around. And that's okay. That is part of the game. Like, straight up, that is just part of the game. That is part of the chaos of frontline. So if you don't feel super well prepared, you might be fine. The only way to really learn it is to play it. And yeah, Maelstrom is... Wow! And we didn't even gank them there at the start. We didn't even get to do that, and they're still getting completely clobbered by blue, it seems, which means that blue is very scary right now. Like, I don't think we've had, like, a proper all-out battle with blue yet. Which means that blue is extremely dangerous, because they, like, that is blue stealing all of their points. We're getting points from nodes, and we're not really fighting blue. And blue is completely decimating red, and we don't even know what to expect. They could, when we finally see them, they could be all full battle high, and we're dead. And it's just over. They're probably coming now. Oh, there they are! That wasn't worth it. Yep, that was about as I expected. And now we're having trouble with red in the north. Because while red was getting bonked, they might have still gotten more battle high than we did from fighting nothing. Oh, red's here. What does the hive mind think? It thinks this. I do believe that is GG, yes. Red is the only one that is in range to stop blue, and I don't think they can. Well, I'm not good at PvP smurfs all over the enemies. I don't know. I don't know if I would call that great, but we did get dunked on pretty hard. And when I got a chance to fight someone, it was pretty much a easy win for me. But the thing is, when I say I'm not that good at it, I don't know why it works. And I basically describe, like, if you remember, you can even rewind the stream to check. I basically described if we get golden spooned all the 3 points at the start, which we did, then we won't fight anyone, which is what happened, and then both of the other teams will just clown on us. That's not quite what happened, because Red was too spread out trying to do everything. But they could have chosen to just dunk on us. They still became second place, ultimately, and we didn't have a chance to stop them. But we still lost exactly because of exactly what I described. Could happen, did happen. We had 30 battle high and took out 100. I'll call that a win. Thanks! I feel like I was already at an advantage when that happened. Yes, particular trick that I like to use on Ninja is... You jinxed us. Well, a particular thing that I like to do with Ninja is the postponed stun, because Forked Raiju and Fleeting Raiju both stun for 2 seconds. You know what's more disruptive than being stunned for 4 seconds? In PvP, I would say it's a lot more disruptive to be stunned for 2 seconds and then you're like, okay, now I can move again. Now I'm stunned again. So I almost always wait for the stun to fully time out and then I smack them again. To like just squeeze a little extra time. It also means that I have because I don't just mash to send both stuns at once, I have time to just go, oh wait, they purified it, and I'll just wait, I'll just hold it, and then the moment their purify immunity runs out, boom, stun again. Like I make sure that I get value for both stuns. And I can just do something else. I'll just throw shurikens at them while I wait for them to choose to purify or choose to, like, whatever they do. I'll just wait. But that's fine, Gazel. At least we got the value. And exactly, Bruntom, it burns a purify, which basically, if someone purifies for nothing, it's like just smacking them across the face for 15,000 damage. Or more if they have battle high. Just boom, 15,000 damage. And I don't have an attack that does that much damage, I don't think. Oh, I actually do. I have Yoshiranryu. I'm just getting an extra free Yoshiranryu just on top. And actually it would do more than Yoshiranryu because the built-in damage reduction you have in frontline. But yeah, my advice is, if you want to get into PvP, for your own sake, go to Wolf's Den Pier, learn the basics of how your job functions, and that includes determining just vaguely how you're going to use the limit break. Because if you go into the front line and then don't use your limit break even once, then you you lost out on a huge amount of value. There are jobs where it might make sense to hold it for just the right moment, but then you need to know what that moment is so that you don't miss it. For instance, on Ninja, as you can see, if I have limit break, every time I see someone below 50% HP, I immediately I'm watching. I'm like, should I LB them? I even died because it was too quick on the trigger, because I was more willing to just smash the limit break to make sure that that blue player died, so that their battle high would get cut in half. I don't even remember if they had a lot of battle high, but I just went free kill, boom, and then I died. Because, and then again, I lost like 20 battle high. If they were full battle high, they lost 50. Of course, their kill might have granted the party more battle high, but if they're already at full, then it doesn't change anything. And yeah, that's a good example, Rost. Scholar, you might not want to send the limit break the moment you have an opportunity. Maybe hold it for a group battle, because it's a lot better for that. But knowing what you're gonna do helps a lot. And then, if you don't know where to go in a front line, follow the pack. There are some points where you should also be careful. There was one point in the front line where I was just like tunneling a Reaper, a full battle high Reaper, because they had a target marker on them. Someone had labeled them as priority 1, so I thought, I'm at least not alone. Probably. So I tried to do everything in my power to stop that Reaper from leaving. And it was only when I realized that I was too far from my team and no one was helping me that I was like, oh, well, I have an out. I can just teleport away. The reason why it doesn't work like that with the limit break is that the ninja puts themselves in a vulnerable position while the limit break is taking place. Which means that you have like a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds to do something to the ninja. The person the ninja is targeting is probably dead anyway, but you can just also kill the ninja. And if you just stun the ninja, they have to then purify, and then that purify animation has to take place, so you get an additional half a second to do something before the ninja just teleports away. And the teleport takes like a second to probably resolve. And if you already sent an attack, it doesn't matter that the ninja is teleporting away. Your attack will just follow them there, and then the ninja's dead at their destination. But yeah, if you don't know what to do, don't go chasing enemies way off. It's not worth it. The main thing you should focus on, priority 1, do some damage. Priority 2, don't die. And the reason why I'm not saying priority 1, don't die, is because I have seen some players that basically did nothing, but they didn't die. And I will say, try to not die, but do try to be busy. Like, do something. But don't be risky. And remember, recuperate. It heals a lot. Use it a lot. If you go out of a match and you have extremely low healing and a lot of deaths, recuperate. Do nothing, die, 3rd place. Exactly. Step 1, do nothing. Step 2, die. Step 3, 3rd place. But if you do... the reason why I don't want to die is, of course, because it loses you battle high. It gives the enemy battle high. So if you don't have battle high and you go, well, it doesn't cost me anything, the enemy gets battle high. And if like... hypothetically, if 24 players just... like, you get stunned and you just see 24 players huddle around you and just stun lock you. The reason they do that is if everyone gets a hit on you, then the killer gets 8 battle high and everyone else gets 4. And every 20 battle high an individual has means that they do 10% more damage and 10% more healing, which also applies to recuperate, which is why high battle high players are really hard to kill, because they heal 50% more than someone without battle high. Another thing is that when you die, some of your team's points are sent to that enemy team. Like, they steal some of your points. That's why Maelstrom basically sat at 0 points for the first few minutes of the fight, was because they were fighting blue with all their might and losing like crazy hard. But they did get some kills, and the players that got the kills didn't die. And pro tip on that one, Lotus. While they won't have any text history, I still recommend reporting that. That is something that is not allowed, and you can get punished for AFKing, essentially AFKing, and also avoiding getting kicked for AFKing in frontline. If you want to get extra sneaky, call it out. Point out that they're not moving. If they don't respond, well, at least you have your dialogue pointing out that they're not moving and that they're still not moving. If they do respond, you may have some evidence, depending on what they say. Bronson says, I know someone that got the max ban for that. But yeah, if you see people AFKing in frontline, report. And remember, the way that you report... I have a guide for that, by the way, but... The way that you report is... The fast way is... Support desk, contact us. You just choose harassment. It's technically a play-related type of harassment. That is where it goes. And you just explain the situation. Just... Title, name, AFKing in frontline, and then you explain who it is, where it took place. Since it's a frontline, you might say frontline on this data center. Approximately when it happened, you might want to use either, you might want to like check server time, use that, or clarify. Is my PvP guide or report guide getting more views? I think that neither of them get very much attention, but they do exist. And then you explain what happened. And if something was said, you can include that and include where it was said. But that's basically what you do. Just go through those steps. I think there's also under these menus there might be a more accurate one. You may also observe in my history that like 50% of my reports, actually maybe 60%, most of my reports are people AFKing either in frontline or Delubrum Reginae, where you also can't be kicked. Just because it's not possible to get rid of you doesn't mean that it's suddenly legal to AFK. But yeah, Kiwi, when you die in PvP, you lose half of your battle high. Also, exactly that, Alana. I report extremely rarely. So you can see, like, that's the reason. I'll say, Philippe, hope you're doing well. When you die in PvP, you lose 50% of your battle high. Whoever killed you gets 8 battle high. Everyone that participated in the kill gets 4 battle high. And some amount of points, I think around 5 of your team's points are given from your stock to the enemy team. They steal about 5 points for you. Things like 5 to 10. I assume it has something to do with battle high. And then, after about 5 seconds, you get yeeted back to base and you respawn immediately. When you're in the base, you can change job, you can change the role action you brought, but take note, I don't know if it happens if you change role action, but if you change job, you lose all of your battle high and all of your limit break. So you should only change job mid-match if you are completely screwed. Or if you like die and you're like, well, I don't have any battle high and my limit break was just used, so... Do you lose everything if you change role action? I'm glad to hear that, Philippe. Thank you so much. But yeah, my PvP guide doesn't get very much attention. My reporting guide, I think it gets a view here and there. I think it's called something like right-clicking is not enough. And then you know how to report another player or something like that. Hey, Ogoka. Hope you're doing well. Did I level up in this? I did, wow. Oh boy, trophy crystals I can't use for anything. Anyway, that is kind of the tail end of the stream, I think. So, unfortunately, with people coming in right now. Oops. If you'd like to be part of the Discord community server, there's a link right there in the chat. There you'll find the weekly schedule where you can see what else is coming up in the coming days. I usually updated Sunday or Monday. You'll also find the announcement room with links to videos and streams when I put them out. If you grab the reminder roll in the role assignments room, you'll get a notification whenever I post a video or stream. And so it's an extra one around 15 minutes before my stream starts, so you can catch it right when we go live. And if you'd like to support the channel more directly, you can become a member, you can subscribe, you can follow, you can like the stream, you can super chat, you can cheer, you can do all that goodness. And if you don't like any of that, there's also the Ko-Fi link in the description. It all helps me and the channel directly, so I can focus on doing stuff like this with all of you. So thanks so much for the support. But that'll be it from me tonight. So good night, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where in the world. I hope to see you all very soon. Bye bye.